So let's go through and practice some projectile selection like we did with our cartridge selection. Similar way, we're going to have a chart here. I got the bullet diameter listed here. I got the make on the left-hand side. I've got the weight of the bullet. I've got the bullet type. And the coefficient is right here. That's a real important column for long range. Sectional density values, you'll want to pay attention to those when we start talking about penetration. And then I have long range application. And this is just based on experience here, like your different categories of application, like targets and varmints, are basically going to be in the same category in my book because they're both not going to require hardly anything. I mean, all you have to do is touch a target with a bullet and you got it. All you have to do is touch a varmint with a bullet and you got it. So basically, your suitability for target and varmint bullets is going to be your accuracy, basically, and external ballistics. So that's the criteria for that category. Your other category here is medium game. That's going to require at least some kind of decent penetration and expansion to ensure some degree of lethality. Your large game is going to want lethality as well, but lethality in large game is going to be ensured by penetration more than expansion. So in large game, it's going to require a totally different bullet construction, and you'll see we'll go through the different calibers. We're going to group this by caliber, and you'll see how this works. And then we have another column, light armor penetration applications. This would be for military. This would be for like troops out on the battlefield, talking about you got a bunch of guys heavy laden with gear. You're fighting a well-equipped enemy. They got a lot of gear. They might have light armor. So this is a bullet's ability to penetrate light armor, perhaps cars or vehicle doors or things like that as well. And then on the far right-hand side column, you also have another column intended for military, which is hard target interdiction. And when we get down to the 50 cals and some of the bigger calibers, you'll see where that fits in. So our first one here, now keep in mind, this is not just bullet choice, this is long range bullet choices here for different applications. So in the 223, you're kind of limited. You're not going to be shooting large game with your 223. It ain't going to happen. You might be able to take out some medium game if you use some of the real heavy bullets, like the Hornady 68 grainers, the Sierras, and the Hornadys. Like deer, we're talking, maybe antelope. And when I say long range, I'm not talking 1,000 meters for the 223. We're talking maybe 500-600 max. So whatever the maximum effective range of the cartridge is going to be with the bullet selection in there as well. Next category here, we have our 243 caliber bullets, also called in the metric 6mm. And these are our 243 projectiles. And we got some varmint bullets. Now, the Hornady 100 grain boat tail soft point on the top, the reason that did not qualify as a target varmint bullet is because there are way better choices if you're looking for accuracy. When you're shooting at varmints, those are tiny little targets. You're shooting at like a prairie dog's head at 300 meters. You're going to have to be really on sight. And you're going to want a match quality target bullet for that. So it's not that it wouldn't ensure the lethality, it's just the accuracy is not required. So that your best choice would be, for varmints, would be your match quality bullets. For medium game, we have the Hornady and Sierra 100 grainers. We're talking the boat tail bullets. This is the boat tail spire points, or the Spitzer boat tail. Spitzer is basically a spire point. Those are going to work fine even at real long range for medium-sized game. Your AMAX, they advertise them as being adequate for medium-sized game. Man, I don't know about that. I would almost put a question mark on that. I've had issues sometimes shooting medium-sized game like deer and stuff with AMAXs. AMAXs seem to not want to stay glued together very well sometimes, especially at closer ranges. But at long ranges, they might hold together better. I'm not sure. I haven't actually used my 243 for long-range medium game hunting yet. And it's mostly a target rifle. So the AMAX would be more of a target bullet. If you really want to hunt medium game with the 243, I would totally opt for the 115 or the 117 grain Burger. The Sierra 115 is going to be similar to the AMAX in some ways. It's kind of a target bullet. That's going to act more like a full metal jacket at super long range. But if you just want to, if you're actually planning on hunting with your 243 long range, go with the Berger 117 VLD. And even if you look at the ballistic coefficient, it's really good, 545. That's better than the AMAX. So that's actually going to give you some good terminal ballistics on top of your external ballistics. Strangely enough, and keep track of these ballistic coefficients here, you're going to see which groups of calibers actually offer, like the 223s, they had pretty poor ballistic coefficients, so that limits you in your range options, no matter what cartridge you're shooting. Your 243s are pretty good. They're in the 400s and the 500s. Let's go over to the 257 caliber. This is for like 25-06 257 Roberts. I actually grew up on a 25-06. That's what I learned to shoot on for a big center fire. Surprisingly, the ballistic coefficients on the 257s kind of suck. Your highest is like 466. That's the highest one I could find, and that was a Berger. So if you want to do long range with the 25-06, I would strongly recommend the Berger. 466 is all right. That'll work fine for long range. You'll actually get out there pretty far with that. And that match VLD, that's gonna hold together really good for medium-sized game and varmint. Your Sierras and your Hornadies, you're going to get a target bullet, but just because the way the 257 caliber is with its ballistic coefficient, it's just not proportionally right for aerodynamics. So the dynamics are kind of bad for cutting through wind and cutting through air. So if you insist on using a 25 caliber for long range, I would definitely go with the Berger if it was me. Next category, we have the 264 calibers, the 6.5 millimeters, and these things are really good. These are one of the good ones, and it's just, again, the proportions of all your curves on your bullet, and there's a lot that goes into determining ballistic coefficient. There's different formulas. We'll get into more of that later, but you'll notice here you're in the 500s and the 600s consistently. Even the 140 grain bullet at 612, that's pretty good, and that's the Berger again. The Bergers are really good. So if you want to hunt, I would definitely go with the Bergers here, although your sectional densities are quite a bit higher in this caliber. You'll notice the 287 if you've been paying attention to that. So any of these are actually going to be pretty good for medium game, even your target bullets. Even though they're soft lead with a light jacket, some of these target bullets, just the raw sectional density, all that lead piled up behind that small point, is going to be inherently desirable for penetration. So some of these are adequate for large game even. Again, if you're hunting, I would go with the bullet design that was specifically designed for hunting, just because I don't like wounding animals. I think that's kind of mean to just wound them, So if you're going to kill something, kill it dead, So if you're going varmints or targets, you can use any of these target bullets. They might be a bit cheaper, but here again, your Berger's got the best external ballistics for that. So I might have to be a salesman for them guys. I don't actually use Berger, which is funny. Okay, 277 caliber, 6.8 millimeter. We got our 130 grainers. Those are basically, if you're using a 6.8 SPC, that AR-15 round, you're going to want to use, you don't want to use the 115s. Those are pretty much wussy. You want to use the 130s, and you want like a Hornady SST. That's a great round right there. Or that's a great projectile right there. That's a pretty good hunting bullet, actually. That's kind of a long-range hunting bullet. So it would be adequate for medium game at long range with this little 6.8. So strongly consider that. Now, if you're talking like a 270 Winchester, like the full size based on the 30-6 case, you might want to use one of these 150 grainers. And there you could use the Berger 150, which is even way better. So the 130s, that's just for the 6.8 SPC, but these 150s is what I'd use in any of the bigger 270 caliber cartridges. And there you can just compare it. Large game was question mark on that with the Berger. Yeah, you're just not going to have quite the power and the speed possibly at that range. It's going to be on the border for large game. It might work okay if you place your shot well. Let's go to this 7 millimeters. 284 caliber is the measurement in inches. And let's see here. We have our varmint bullets that we're going to want to use. If you want to hunt varmints with the 7mm, like at extreme range, like 1,000, you could try it. It might be fun, you know. I would use an AMAX or the Sierra Match King or the Burger, because just inherent accuracy and external ballistics. That's going to offer your best ballistic coefficients and your best accuracy, your best concentricity inside your bullet and everything. So everything's going to be balanced very well. These other hunting bullets are going to be fine for stuff, but not for a tiny target like a varmint. I mean, you just really want to ensure it with a match. The match bullets in the 7mm will also work fine for medium game, because here you have a real high sectional density. You'll notice the sectional density is going way up on these things, up in the 300s now. So that's even better inherent penetration. So even though your bullet is not like designed for penetration on hunting, it's still going to be a pretty good penetrator in the 7mm. Now, if you're hunting large game, I would specifically use a bullet made for hunting. Like Sierra has the 160 grain Spitzer boat tail. That's a pretty good choice for large game at long range. Your ballistic coefficient ain't as high, but your construction of your bullet's going to ensure good controlled expansion and lethality there. You do probably want to use a hunting bullet on an elk at long range. Another really good one is a Sierra 175 grain Spitzer with 533. That would be really good. Or even better, way at the bottom there, you got the Match King. I probably wouldn't use that for long range large game. But the Burger is going to be really good. That's your best choice. But they're a little more expensive, but you got a fantastic ballistic coefficient. That's a good all-round projectile to launch out of your 7mm, whatever your 7mm may be. All right, let's go down to the 30 cals. Okay, now we're starting to see some full metal jacket bow tails here. The 150 grain full metal jacket bow tail is kind of the standard NATO loading that they use in the big battle rifles. That's got a ballistic coefficient of 408. And 30 caliber, again, like your 7mm had a real strong ballistic coefficient. They're excellent at long range potential. Your 30 calibers in your standard size classic loading sizes are real poor for ballistic coefficient. Now, when you get lately, long range is getting a little more popular. The companies are coming out with heavy 30 caliber bullets now, that 210s, 230s, and 240s. And those things actually are climbing up there in ballistic coefficients. So in your big ultra mags or things like that, that might be a good option. So you don't got the inherent aerodynamics that you got in the 7mm projectiles in the 30 calibers, but now that they're coming out with new bullets, they're actually pretty respectable. So, and you can look at the chart here. Same story again. Your hunting bullets are going to be better for hunting. Your target bullets are going to be better for varmints and targets. In the 30 calibers, you are even getting into some light armor penetration applications as well. Once any of these high-powered rifle bullets that you're shooting out, even if it's a hunting bullet, at close range especially, is going to totally go through light armor and penetrate without a problem. Any of the, like if you got a Magnum or even a big 30-06, you don't even need a full metal jacket or a penetrator round a lot of times for light armor. So if you're an operator and you want like super good, well, you know, like most military applications, it's actually still legal Geneva Convention. You can't really use expanding bullets. So your light armor penetration rounds are going to be your mil-spec 175 grain M118. That's one I should call attention to. That is the M118 is the issued 308 caliber sniper round that the snipers use specifically. That's a real good round. Actually, Carlos Hathcock in Vietnam had the M1 round in his 30-06, which was also a 173 or a 175 grain bullet, almost identical to this 118. And that's what he used in his 30-06 in Vietnam to make all those record long shots. And so that's a real good military sniper round, and it's good for light armor penetration because it's just a heavy, long bullet that's real solid military designed for that purpose. You'll also notice the boat tail full metal jackets up there are light armor penetrators as well. I think I mentioned that before. So there's the 30 caliber chart. You can go ahead and pause that if you want and kind of look at what you got going on. Match your application to your projectile, obviously. If you are a 303 British kind of guy, or if you're shooting one of the 7.62 by 54 rims, like the Mosin Nagant rifles or a Dragunov or something like that, or a Romanian PSL, you're probably going to want to load your own shells because a lot of that ammo is junk. So you want to get some good quality brass, and you are going to reload them. And what I would recommend is if you're going to do target shooting, you could use, they do make Match Kings, which with 499 ballistic coefficients, that would be a really good long-range performer. And if you are going to do it for military applications, then if it's for military, I would go with the 174 boat tail full metal jacket, just because you're going to have that light armor penetration application as well. If it's just for target or for hunting, then I would definitely use the Match King in that caliber. Okay, 338. This is a 8.61 millimeter. We have a few different choices here. The standard military loadings that this cartridge was designed for were actually the 250 grain Skinners and lock-based bullets made by Lapua. So this is like in a 338 Lapua Magnum. That's what these bullets are designed for. The 250s, they still got pretty good ballistic coefficients, 6.48, 6.25. These are going to be going quite a bit faster out of the muzzle than your 300. So a lot of guys like these because they have a lot more flat trajectory at your medium, intermediate, and close ranges. However, the 300 grain bullet, although it is not near as flat at close range, when you get further out there, like to 1,000 and 1,500 and beyond, your 300 is actually more flat in the long term because it has a higher ballistic coefficient and it's maintaining its velocity. So the tortoise eventually beats the hare on that one with the 300 grainer, but that's once you get out there extreme range. So if you're going to do extreme range shooting with your 338, you want the 300 grainer. Now be advised, you do need a tighter barrel twist than some companies offer. You're going to want like a 1 in 10 twist is what I would recommend. A lot of these rifles are 1 in 11, like the Accuracy International, I believe, is 1 in 11. Maybe they came out with a new one now. So you want to pay attention to that. I'm not sure what the new Savage is, but you want to make sure to match your twist of your rifle you're going to get. And we'll discuss that when we talk more about rifle choices and things like this.
GPS says 1.13 kilometers. T1, top of the head, Coors can, range 1130 meters, indexed at 10.4, holding off 1.2 mils to the left. I'm on sight.
Green light. Oh, you got it!
Oh,
holy cow, you got it!
That was pretty sweet.
The 338's got so much power and so much sectional density, and the ballistic coefficient is so high that you got all your power at max range that pretty much anything you shoot's toast as far as game animals. Like it's going to, and all these are very accurate, so these are all adequate for long range target and varmint applications as well. Any of these bullets are going to be fine. Your medium game, absolutely no problem. Your large game, this stuff should all be totally sufficient, even at your max effective range. Your light armor penetration applications, the 338 will blast through steel at 600 yards like nothing. Even with target bullets, like 300 grain Match Kings, a hollow point bullet, target, light jacket, not even a full metal jacket. It'll blast right through like mild steel plate or even intermediate steel plate at 500 meters, no problem. So that's one thing to consider for hard target interdiction. If you actually are like specifically wanting to interdict like hard targets, real hard ones, like thicker armor, you're going to want to use the lock-based bullet, which is a full metal jacket bow tail. Still going to fly really good, and it'll penetrate really, really well. You're also going to notice the tac. That's a Barnes. That's like a solid copper bullet, and that would actually be pretty good for HTI as well, because that's going to hold together very well at long range. So that's your 338 choices. Now let's go to a hard target interdiction category here. This is our big mothers. We got the 408 CheyTac up here. That's 10.4 millimeter. You'll notice the make is Lost River, and these are real hard to come by. But these are solids. They're solid bullets. They're not lead. They're like made on a lathe, basically, like solid bronze or I forget what alloy it is exactly. Really good ballistic coefficients. It's going to cover anything you want to do. Now, certain states have laws like you can't use non-expanding bullets on animals because that was made for like hunting style cartridges, but this bad boy 408 in the real world is going to be very, very humane on any critter you shoot, regardless of whether it's a solid non-expanding bullet or not. So in the real world, you can go ahead and hunt with this thing, but if you've got laws, you got to pay attention to that. You don't want to break the law there. And as you will see, light armor and hard targets, absolutely no problem for the 408. That's kind of what it's designed for. The 50 cal, okay, that's 510 caliber. That's like your 50 caliber BMG basically. And there are other wildcats that shoot it as well. But if you're going to do target or varmint shooting, if you're shooting targets and you want precision, you're actually kind of limited in your choices. You're going to want some of the commercially available bullets. You don't want to use a lot of the military stuff just from lack of accuracy is mostly the problem. Your AMAX is going to deliver excellent accuracy, and it's got a fantastic ballistic coefficient. It'll give you a really good long extended range. I think like 2,700, 2,600 meters at sea level. That should be pretty good for you. You'll also notice the Barnes TAC LR BT, and I got a picture of one here. I like to use those. The ballistic coefficient's even a little higher than the AMAX. And the nice thing about this is this is going to double as a light armor penetrator and a hard target interdiction bullet as well. So if you need to take out hard targets, this will get the job done, and with the very, very high degree of accuracy as well. And the last super accurate bullet you have is the other Barnes TAC LR boat tail. This is the tangent version. Now, the reason the ballistic coefficient is different is because this bullet is shaped differently. This is actually made to fit inside magazines. Like if you got a Barrett 82 and you need to cram it in a magazine, or if you've got some of the Macmillan rifles and a lot of times the AMAX and some of these other bullets like the TAC LR boat tail, they're real long and real skinny, and they don't fit inside the magazine if you seat them properly. So they're a single shot round. If you want a round that will fit in a detachable magazine, they got the tangent one. That's what that's for. Your ballistic coefficient severely hurt, but still you got the power of a 50. So if you need power and you want a magazine fed that's accurate, there you go. I also have listed here the very, very popular M33 ball. This is pretty much what they sell a lot of. A lot of guys who buy 50 calibers go and stockpile this stuff. And one thing to be aware of, it's great for hard target interdiction and light armor for military purposes. But if you wanted high degree of precision, you're not going to get it out of the M33 ball. Your standard deviation on your group size on this thing is going to be in between 1 and 2 and 3 minutes of angle sometimes. It's not like the most accurate stuff that ever flew out of the barrel. It will definitely smash stuff when it hits it, but that's made for shooting vehicles. That's what that was designed for. It's not made for like target shooting or varmints. You're going to be a lot better off the 7mm Magnum or a 338 or a 30 cal or something that's actually going to be more accurate. The M8 API. Here's a few of those pictures shown here. This is the armor-piercing incendiary. There's lots of different variations, different designations military. This is one of the common ones. The ballistic coefficient here is a little less just from the shape and how the projectile is all put together. But this one also is obviously light armor and hard target interdiction. This is a really good one for hard target interdiction. It's not going to be super accurate, so I wouldn't use it for target shooting. Another one here, you got your mil spec. This is probably the standard for hard target interdiction, if that's your thing, is the Mark 211 Mod O. That's the high explosive incendiary armor piercing. Now, you can't go down to Walmart and buy that, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer. But if you need to take out a Scud missile, or if you need to take out any kind of hard targets or whatever, that's the baby. That's the one you want right there. And it's reasonably accurate, but there again, that's a special purpose cartridge, kind of a do-it-all. But I would not use that for hunting or for targets or varmint. That's going to just make too big of a mess and be kind of pricey. I also have listed here the slap round, the M903 slap. Here's a picture of one. This is basically a 350 grain tungsten penetrator inside a sabot, a plastic sabot, which is basically going to ramp up your velocity because you've got a lot more gunpowder for a lot less weight. So your velocity goes way high, like 4,000 feet a second, pretty close to that. And what you got is raw kinetic energy concentrated behind a small point of impact, real high sectional density on this, and this is for anti-armor purposes. This is kind of a newer deal, but this works really good for hard target interdiction as well. It's not quite as accurate as some of these other more commercially available loads. The commercial ones are the ones you want for high precision. But I just thought I'd throw the military ones in here as well for all you operators out there who might like that stuff. Okay. Well, that was a lot of fun. It took a long time, actually, more than I thought it would. But that's if you go through these charts and you do a systematic breakdown like this, if the caliber you're looking at is not shown, the projectile you're looking at is not shown, just consider the same things like we went through here, and you should be able to narrow down your bullet choice. Now, here's the final word on bullet choice. One thing to be aware of. You're going to want to pick one bullet and then pretty much use that for everything. So try to pick a good all-purpose bullet. If you are mostly going to be target shooting, but you plan on maybe doing some hunting, go ahead and make sure you use a target bullet that will work good for hunting as well. After you get all your charts built up and you get all your zeros confirmed, you're going to put a lot of time and energy into this. You're going to be disappointed if you got all your stuff figured out perfectly for your target loads, and then you go out hunting and you have absolutely no clue where it's going to go because you haven't been confirming it the whole time. So like use a burger bullet or whatever, something that's going to work for both. It's going to be super accurate if you're hunting, or you just make sure you use a good all-round bullet that's going to cover all your things so that you can just keep one set of charts in one load, and you can just keep one ammo on the shelf. So you're not having to juggle like 5 different kinds of loads around and get confused what's going on. That's not fun. Well, there we go. Hopefully you've got a lot better idea of which projectile you're going to want to use. And I believe our next video has something to do with either equipment selection or something like that. So that might be fun. Most guys like the equipment part of it. So I'll catch you when we come out with the next one. No!